Hey folks, JC Shurburtt here, bigspur.com, thebigspur.com, inside the Gamecocks, the show. Hope you're doing well, no matter what time of day you're viewing this video. Wanted to pop in and give a quick talk on the transfer portal efforts of the Gamecocks. It's wild and wacky out there across transfer portal land, and I guess the key word for all this has been busy. I've been busy, staff's been busy, everybody, I guess the popular term now is stakeholders. All the stakeholders have been busy with this transfer portal season, but the Gamecocks have some good players lined up they have a shot with, and I'm sure that if history's any indication, they'll sign another good group that'll come in and mesh with the players on the current roster. LaNorris Sellers, the quarterback for the Gamecocks, obviously is a special talent. The whole country kind of figured out what we all knew as his production ended up getting better and performance in games better. And so they are looking to build around him, obviously. And part of what he needs is pass catchers. Now, the Gamecocks have a heck of a haul that could get even better of high school receivers coming in. And that position, it's realistic for a true freshman or two to step in and play. So the numbers are there, plus Mazio Bennett's back. You got Nick Harbor. You've got Jared Brown, who has another year coming back. Vidrivius Jacobs is another year guy. So you got kind of a nice core, and then the freshman. But I think there is a need to have one, maybe two guys at receiver that are proven older guys. So you're not depending on freshmen. Everybody competes, and see who gets on the field. And then part two of that is tight end. The tight end room is just a little light. I expect them to get one. They had the Atkins kid in from whatever was at Northwest Missouri State, one of the directional Missouri schools that has a lot of offers, and then a player in yesterday-ish today. Today, by the way, is Tuesday, December 17th, 2024. I know on YouTube sometimes you'll pop up stuff and it's like, this video's old. So I always like to give the date and all that good stuff. So we'll start with the guys that are kind of in the midst of their visits right now. And I'll start with a player that we kind of uncovered that was on campus for his visit yesterday afternoon. I put it on thebigspur.com. Tight end Jordan Dingle from Kentucky. This guy's played a lot of football at Kentucky, been a starter or in the two deep there for a while. 6'4", 242 pounds. The previous staff here, way back in the class of 2021 during the pandemic, was very high on Jordan Dingle. Thought he was a stud. South Carolina was sort of in it, but then the transition happened with the coaches, and nobody could visit anyway. So it was kind of a moot point. He goes to Kentucky. His best year was 2 years ago in 2022. Actually caught a touchdown against the Gamecocks in that win in Lexington, 24-14. The Gamecocks won, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm mistaken, somebody again slap me. But he is a big athletic guy. Only played in 5 games this past year for the Wildcats. Injury situations, and we all kind of know that thing at Kentucky went south, but he's a very capable guy in the passing game. Also blocks well. So why take a tight end? You're saying Brady Hunt will be back. You got Michael Smith, who's an absolute stud. And then Mike Tyler's coming in. And then Maurice Brown is a capable player as well. Well, I think you need 5. And, one of the things about a pro-style offense that because that's a very broad term these days, but they're going to use the tight end. And rightfully so. Everybody's using them more these days at all levels of football. They're very valuable. And so you need more. You need depth. You need guys that can come in and compete. Mike Tyler is a very talented prospect, but what you're looking at, if he's not ready to go, let's say he's a red shirt, you're looking at him maybe being forced into action in certain situations. You also use these guys on special teams. So Jordan Dingle, originally from Kentucky, Bowling Green, Kentucky High School, he would be the first since D.L. Moore to come to South Carolina from that high school if the Gamecocks get him. And as I always say, that's always the question. Well, will Carolina land him? You just don't know. You just don't know. It's there's a lot of, it's way different than high school recruiting where, oh, I like you best and you like me best. And so I'm going to come, play for you. And that's still the case with high school even these days with NIL creeping into that space, it's not as crazy prevalent up and down your class as the transfer portal. But transfer portals are business decisions, and they really, even before the money, they've always been. Any kind of transfer decision is fundamentally different. Those guys aren't so caught up in the hype and the schools. Those that are end up going to 5 or 6 different schools. I don't think we've had one at 5 or 6 different yet, but we will. You know, the guys that can't stop and let go of high school recruiting are the guys you don't want. These are business decisions. So Dingle is a guy that I think could really add the final piece to Sean Elliott's room for 2025. Also on campus yesterday, another familiar name, Omega Blake, who of course was at South Carolina, left after 2023. Never thought Omega was a bad player. He got in there, made some plays. Just thought he was raw and probably not ready. If you missed the Pat DeMarco interview yesterday here on Chief Sports South Carolina YouTube page, go check that out. He gets in depth about Omega and his time at South Carolina and all that. Omega leaves, goes to East Carolina, leaves East Carolina, goes to Charlotte, and lo and behold, he kind of grew up as a player. 32 catches, 795 yards, 8 touchdowns. Chris Humber from 24/7 Sports speculated he may be the best deep threat in the entire transfer portal. His body's filled out. He's kind of a skinny guy. I've seen him listed 6'3", 210 at some places, 6'2", 180 at others. Those are two very different things body type wise. But he visited with this group earlier this week, Monday, Tuesday. And, will he end up back at Carolina? I don't know. I think this, and I'm going to say I don't know for all of it. But I'll tell you, let's put it this way. I'll say I don't know, but I'll give you like the key factors. How about that? Because it's lame to say I don't know in my line of work. But will they get him? I don't know, ... But here are the key factors. Number one, does he want to come back? Number two, do they want him back? Number three, whatever happened that caused him to leave, can they get over it? It's only been a year. And remember this, Gilbert Edmond came back, but Shane Beamer talked to the whole team and, talked to the captains and kind of left it up to the players. I mean, we talk about the culture at Carolina all the time, and bringing guys in that you left and they come back and, and you don't get okay from the team, that could be detrimental to that. Beamer will protect that at all costs. So that's a guy, I like what I've seen from Omega Blake at Charlotte. I think he got significantly better. Like I said, I didn't think he was a bad player. It's just kind of a guy that when he played, you knew he was a little raw. Last season, 2023, South Carolina's depth was just lacking at just about every spot. And while the receiving corps didn't have, obviously, Xavier Legette this year, they had a bunch of depth and different options, which was good because that's the one position where South Carolina really did have some injuries just about the whole year. Guys were in and out of the lineup, but they pieced it together, and now it's time to get that thing. Mike Fury's well on his way. Get that thing right again for the quarterback they have coming back and Mike Shula's passing game. All right, so those are the guys, the pass catchers, if you will, that we're in. The Thursday is going to be a big day at South Carolina. Justice Haynes is coming in, the running back. We've talked a whole bunch from Alabama, but you got 2 good receivers out of the ACC heading in. These guys, I like both of them for different reasons. I'll start with the first one, Horatio Fields from Wake Forest. He's an older player, didn't play a whole lot, kind of blew up this year with 39 receptions, 463 yards, 4 touchdowns. Nice touchdown pass he caught against Clemson in that loss. Wake wasn't all that great this season, but they battled hard. An older guy, originally from Douglasville, Georgia, New Manchester High School. One of those guys that I think, Wake Forest philosophy, and of course Dave Clawson, the head coach there, hung it up yesterday because I don't know that this philosophy works anymore in college football, because if you're at Wake and the minute you get good and developed, like we've seen probably going to go someplace else. But this guy is kind of an example of what Wake's done since the Jim Grove days. They bring in guys, they redshirt them, they develop, they develop, they develop. By the time they're juniors and seniors, they're ready to go. Wake's had a lot of older football teams when they've been successful. And this guy with one more year left, nothing says that 39 reception wise can't go up. Big body guy, good ball skills. Like I said, older player like Demetrius Knight Jr. and Kyle Kennard on defense this past year. Carolina's had success with older, mature players in the portal. And he's been a guy the Gamecocks have kind of had on their target list for a while. Again, the need is for outside receivers. Now, this next guy is not necessarily an outside receiver. He's a line him up wherever the hell you want receiver because he's good. And he's been good since he stepped foot on campus at NC State, and that's KC Concepcion. KC lit the ACC up as a true freshman. Three-star guy, very unassuming. But out of Charlotte, Julius Chambers High School, the kind of guy that, NC State, to their credit, people wonder why they beat North Carolina all the time, even though they never have a recruiting class ranked higher than North Carolina, or rarely. It's because they take North Carolina kids, and North Carolina has such a big population, especially around Charlotte. Think about Torricelli, Simpkins, and Jawarn Howell, who Carolina have two pretty good players. Simpkins is going to play in the NFL. Howell could be the starting running back next year, even if they get Haynes. Those guys are from the Charlotte area. Nobody recruited them. I've seen it at South Carolina before, where you get a hell of a player out of North Carolina that everybody overlooks. It's a little different dynamic than in South Carolina, in that those kids that are kind of the highly ranked guys in North Carolina, they like to go out of state and blue bloods or whatever. It's been that way for a long time. Or if North Carolina's rolling, UNC, they'll go there. So we'll see sort of how that dynamic develops. But South Carolina continues to spot recruit up there and do a pretty good job of getting actually good players, all hype aside. And this is one. He went to NC State last year, caught 70 plus balls as a true freshman. This year his numbers were down. Just to be honest, I think 46. He's got 128 catches for like 1,200 yards, 16 touchdowns in 2 seasons up there. But NC State's quarterback situation was a disaster. The offense was really a disaster most of the year. It had nothing to do with KC Concepcion. Alabama is a team that's in the mix for him, along with a lot of other schools. But South Carolina's close to home. LaNorris Sellers obviously is a big selling point. Mike Shula and company. Mike Fury, they'll have to sell him on it. And my understanding is the NIL situation, it's not like a crazy, only Texas will pay me this much kind of NIL deal, which a lot, not many guys have that kind of crazy NIL situation. But it's it's one where it looks like it's going to be fair at the end of the day. This guy's 5'11", 189 pounds. It's a stud, absolute stud. You could match him up in the slot. You could put him on the outside. You could put him all over the place. I think if you're looking for like the reassurance that there would be a number one receiver next year, and a lot of people, I kind of felt personally like South Carolina would get by with just having a lot of guys that not really a number one guy this year. And they did for the most part. And who knows if some of these guys hadn't had injuries, how would Jared Brown have been had he played the whole season, that kind of thing. But it is what it is. And what it is a tight end led the Gamecocks in receptions this year. That rarely happens. No offense to Josh Simon. He's awesome. But it was because there was no number one guy. Nick Harbor was up sometimes. Brown made plays. Gage Larvidan, who's departing as a senior, made some plays. I wish they had Delvon Campbell back next season, because there's a guy that at the end of the day could develop into that. I hate that he didn't get a catch at Clemson, because he's gotten a lot of momentum. Can't wait to watch him play against his former team, Illinois, in the bowl game. So I think if you get a KC Concepcion, win that battle, because it is a battle. It's not a layup. He could go someplace else. The key factors are going to be selling him on South Carolina. Come here, I think right now it's not unrealistic to sell. Hey, if we get these guys, if you're the coaches, if we get these guys, including you, there's a chance we could be in the SEC championship game and go to the playoff. I mean, that's just the reality of it when you have players like LaNorris Sellers, Dylan Stewart, and a lot of other good young players too on the roster. And then there's guys coming back. Are there holes? Yes, on both sides of the ball. But you got a bunch of offensive linemen coming back. The tight end room we mentioned. Receiver is going to be very deep and probably a lot more talented, I would say, as far as just raw talent because of that freshman class. But, you know, freshmen sometimes, like KC Concepcion did at NC State, they'll go catch 70 balls, be great. Sometimes they'll catch 4. Sometimes they won't play. Sometimes they get upset because they didn't play and transfer. That's just how it is. But you need numbers there. So big visit time with Fields and Concepcion and Haynes all coming in on Thursday. There's some other Thursday ones too. I don't have written down in front of me. They're not skill guys though. I think Miles Norwood from Ball State corner will be in Thursday, Friday ish. And Derek Simmons, the tackle from Western Carolina, is in later this week too. But those are all not the subject of this video. It was about the pass catchers. So Gamecocks looking pretty good shape right now to add to their pass catching arsenal and help give LaNorris Sellers some more weapons to work with. Mike Shula some more weapons to work with next year. The Gamecocks can land of these 4, 2 of them. It's a win. Hopefully 3. And who knows, depending on Omega Blake, they may take a flyer on 4. I have no idea if they would do that or not. I think at least 2 are safe bets, maybe 3. Because remember, just because they bring a guy in for a visit doesn't mean he ends up being a take and it ends up working out. They're actually evaluating a lot of guys, when they come in, character-wise, fit-wise, things like that. Because I think, as we've all found out, if you make mistakes in the portal with and you bring in culture vultures, that's a new term, culture vultures, then you may lose some games, quite a few, as certain schools have found out through the years. And the money is a big part of that, I think, just because young people, man, if I had $1 million, or I mean, not a lot of these guys are $1 million guys, but if I had a couple $100,000 when I was in college, I would have never gotten out of college. I may have still been in college, like a Van Wilder, but older and fatter with a beard. So anyway, folks, hope you check out Inside the Gamecocks, the show today. If you're viewing this a little later than it was recorded or posted, then go back and look at the show on it's archived or it's in podcast form always. Visit thebigspur.com, support Garnet Trust, the NIL collective at Carolina. And also they're having a happy hour tonight near the basketball arena. There's information on that on thebigspur.com in a free post before the Clemson Carolina basketball game this evening at Colonial Life Arena. All right, I'm signing off. JC Shurburtt, just want to give you a portal update. Hope all you have a wonderful day. We'll be along with any breaking news, anything else that becomes of interest as we continue to track this portal season right here. Thanks for tuning in, folks.